In today's video, I want to show you guys how you can install a 2.5-inch level on your truck. This is our Ram 2500. It is a 2022. We went ahead and put a 2.5-inch CARLI leveling kit on it, as well as 35-inch nittos on 17-inch methods. Something that I wanted to kind of share with this whole install is if you kind of just take your time and read all the instructions, this is something you can do yourself in your driveway with basically a few simple tools. Hardest part being lowering down the axle to droop out the suspension. This is definitely something that you can do in your driveway. It's pretty straightforward and simple. You're just replacing your shocks and springs. We did opt for the track bar as well, which we replaced, and we are super happy with it. But we'll go ahead and jump into some clips of the install. So the correct way to do this would be with your 18 mil. You can drop it over the pin up top onto there, and then you would take your 9, set that on top, and then kind of break it loose. We tried, but the top got rounded off. So what we're actually gonna have to do now, and what we did is take out all the bolts on the fender well so that we can lift this up, get access, and we're just gonna cut straight through this and be able to drop that right out. It's cut straight through, and we were able to pull that off. So in this kit, you'll notice that you have your front and rear shocks. They are different, so they will be clearly marked on the packaging. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our rear ones. And again, we have the 19 millimeter top, and then this will use the same existing bolt. We can go ahead and slide those up into place, and then we'll tighten everything up, pull the wheels off, and be able to fit on our new Nitto Ridge grapplers on a set of methods. So super excited to finally get this going. It's been a while, but it's crazy how tight or messed up some of these can get. The truck's not even a year old yet, but we will get all this installed, and then I'd like to come in and clean up the frame and get a nice coat on there as well. All right, and before we put the rear tires on, we've got 42.5 on the back, and we'll come up here to the front before we add the coil and the tire, and we're roughly at, looks like about 40.25. So we will swap the back tires. All right, so we've got our jack stands in place. I really like these ones. We just picked them up from Harbor Freight not too long ago, and they've got a safety pin in there as well, and a good base so it doesn't really sink in. I'd eventually like to do like some type of square plate welded onto the bottom so it doesn't mess up the asphalt, but we've got that up, and we've got it so that our wheels are a little bit lifted so that when we roll the new ones on, we should be good to slide them right in place. So we're just gonna hop over to the other side, put our screws back in the fender liner, pull this out, and get this wheel popped off. All right, so we removed the front drive shaft so that when we undo all the other bolts up front, we can drop this down and it'll let this sink as low as possible. Next, we're just gonna lift up and put some jack stands under the frame so that the front end is lifted higher, and then we can droop out the suspension. All right, so we've got our jack stands on both sides and the two jacks holding the axle up. We're gonna go ahead and remove both front tires. This is how we will slowly lower the axle down to droop out the suspension. You just wanna make sure and do that really slow because you are then just balancing on those two jack stands. But we'll go ahead and get these taken off. These top shocks we already got loosened, so those will come off a lot easier than the back, so we won't have to cut those. Drop those out and get started. So we've dropped the sway bar from there. We are in here loosening the brake lines off of this so that when we droop it out, we're not putting tension on that. Then we're gonna go ahead and finish removing the 18mm on top. We got a 21 down here that will buzz off, and then we'll be able to drop this and swap out our springs. All right, so we have now drooped down the suspension. We have the brake lines disconnected, and you can see once the shocks are out, you have complete access to your springs. And now if we go over here and look at what we've got left to put on, you're gonna see you have the passenger side and the driver's side, and you want those to be legible so that this is gonna be your top side and that'll be the bottom. Same on the other side, and they are directional. All right, so you can see we have the driver's side, we have the bushing in with this pin, and that'll go straight up, and that will keep us all in line. All right, so we are almost complete. As you can see, we have got our shocks and springs installed, and right here we have our drive shaft strapped off to the side, so we'll undo that and reinstall there. We also need to reinstall our sway bar, and then we're gonna swap out the track bar to the new one. So we'll go ahead and pull all of that down, put those back up in place. But so far, super happy with the height and how it looks. It's gonna be pretty sweet. So yeah, let's get this thing finished up. All right, so as we get ready to reinstall the new CARLI track bar, we're also gonna take off this bracket here, which has 2 bolts up top and then 2 below. We'll be replacing this bracket to make room up top. So this will be your install just under here. And they provide you with new hardware for that as well. So we'll go ahead and get this popped off and put in place, and then go measure our track bar and get that installed. All right, and you can see here we have it set at 39 1/8, and we've got our red Loctite in there. And we're measuring from the center of this, so they're held in place and parallel. So we'll get that tightened and bring it out to the truck. All right, so we've gotten everything re-tightened, and our adjustment, we are 2 back. All of that is listed online with the kit. All right, so let's go ahead and grab a final measurement from the front. It's basically centered. We are just about 44. And in the back, same. So we are level front to back and then raised as well. Well, that is going to wrap up this video. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. And if there's a project that you've been kind of putting off and wanting to do, go for it. Worst thing that can happen is that you complete it. So we'll see you guys in the next one.